What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to JY's Adventures. I see the comments, man. Thank y'all so much for the reaction requests that you leave in the comment section. Really means a lot. Let's keep it going. We got how to beat the mutant roaches in Terra Formars, bruh. Cinema summary. As always, we're gonna check out more Nerd Explains as well. Link to the original video is down in the description. I remember watching this anime, and it was so spooky and action-packed at the same time. Crazy stuff, bro. I didn't even know they had a live action for it. We're gonna see how we get the analyses done to beat this one, bro. If you're new to the channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Again, thank y'all so much for the support. We're gonna just hop right into it, y'all. Let's go.
If you were stranded on another planet and hunted down by an army of mutant cockroaches, what would you do? This is what humanity's future will look like if not enough people donate to Team Seeds. And that's why I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the killer cockroaches in Terra Formars.
Oh man,
this whole planet is doomed. It's the year 2597, and the world has become too populated to support the human race. But this couple here has a much bigger problem. Shokichi and his girlfriend are wanted for murder, and the police are hunting them down.
Oh man,
they run through the crowded streets to escape, but they get cornered in, and the cops finally surround them. The man knows he'll be executed, but that's when he looks up and is surprised to see this luxury car come flying down into the street. The door swings open as this rich man steps out and walks towards the couple. He has a special plan for them.
He swagged up like Michael Jackson, y'all. Rest in peace. Look, remember Michael Jackson walking around with the umbrella? Rest in
these
peace.
Criminals are about to get a punishment worse than death. The rich man takes them to his lab where he offers them a deal. Instead of being executed for their crimes, they can go to Mars and help exterminate cockroaches. The insects were sent there to terraform the planet hundreds of years ago, but now that it's ready to be colonized, the bugs need to be wiped out.
The only insect that could survive nuclear explosions, by the way.
It's an extremely dangerous mission, but the man promises that all the charges will be dropped if they complete the job. Shokichi doesn't trust what he's hearing, but he knows it's their only chance to live and takes the deal. 2 years later, the couple is sent to Mars along with 13 other people, and they're all dressed in stormtrooper hand-me-downs. The girl goes to talk with one of them, but that's when she finds out that nearly all the crew members are some of the worst criminals on Earth. Among them is a corrupt ex-cop, 2 Yakuza gangsters, a serial killer, a human trafficker, and a professional terrorist. Suddenly, the captain walks into the bridge and orders everyone to their seats as they begin to enter the Martian atmosphere. The group is amazed to find that the surface of Mars is covered in plant life, completely terraformed into an Earth-like climate. The captain launches missiles full of insecticide to kill the cockroaches, and they start spraying toxic gas to clear the area. But they have no idea that the insects they're looking for are more dangerous than they could imagine.
That's a buff cockroach.
If I had a choice between being sent to the electric chair or being sent to Mars, it's a no-brainer. But Shokichi here should have trusted his instincts, because there are tons of signs that they were being taken advantage of. First of all, poor and desperate losers being hand-selected for an important mission is pretty much how every Asian death game starts. So whenever you're being offered the deal of a lifetime, the first question you should ask yourself is why it's happening to you. Nobody would hire criminals to do a job unless that job itself is a crime. These people have no experience killing bugs or flying rockets, and that's only scratching the surface of the problem. Secondly, a mission like this should have international attention and would be on every single news channel around the world. In comparison, the Apollo 11 mission where Neil Armstrong landed on the moon was watched by 650 million people in 1969. And that was when only 1 in 10 households even had a TV. This event here should be considered the biggest event in the history of mankind, because this planet is humanity's last hope for survival, and yet they're sending dangerous criminals in secret. It's suspicious as hell, and that's not even mentioning how much this mission would cost.
It's a trap.
Sending a rocket into orbit is insanely expensive,
billions of dollars,
costing about $10,000 for 1 pound of material. So a rocket this size is a massive investment. Now, even if this guy is a trillionaire, Mars missions can only be done once every 2 years, when the planetary orbits are close enough for space travel. If you have to wait that long for a Mars mission, these are not the kinds of people you're gonna send on a trip, right? It can only mean there's something he's not telling us. Now, the single most important thing to notice here is that exterminating an entire planet of bugs can't be done by a small group of people like this. It doesn't matter if they're criminals or battle-tested Starship troopers. There's just way too much surface area on this planet for this to be practical. And considering that they only get their freedom if they complete the job, accepting this deal was extremely short-sighted. The lifespan of a
Bad
cockroach
decision.
is about 30 weeks. But the most horrifying fact of all is that a female roach can produce 300 offspring before it dies. If half of those babies are female and
breed
each of them
fast.
produces 300 of their own cockroach babies, then in less than 1 year, you'll have over 45,000 of them. In just
This is the thing, y'all. If you ever see one cockroach, bruh, it's never just one, bro. It's a lot.
2 generations, you'll have nearly 70 million
I hate
insects crawling
roaches
through the
the
walls
most
of your house.
out of all the
That's in
bugs.
only 24 months. And these
Dang.
things have been living on Mars for 500 years.
That's a
this
lot.
This is the most f***ing nightmare planet you could possibly think of. And these people are disposable with no experience killing bugs or flying rockets. So if I were in this situation, I would rather take my chances on Earth and go back
With
on
the
the
electric
run.
chair?
They're already in
Might as
control
well,
of our own
right?
ship, so these criminals might be able to turn around and head back. Once they discover the horrors waiting for them here, they'll wish they had.
Here
And there's
they
one
are.
surefire way they can escape this planet undetected. NordVPN provides a private network and acts like a meat shield for your internet that keeps your computer and
VPNs are great, y'all. Always, like, honestly, if you're on the internet, make sure you sign up for a VPN.
blocked in your country and for shooting. So go to
Check
nordvpn.com
out-
/cinemasummary and
Nice
use my
use of
code
the brand deal
CinemaSummary
as
to
well.
get a 2-year
Fitting that in
plan
here.
with a huge discount plus 1 month free. Thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this video. And an extra
NordVPN is
thank you
fire.
for allowing me to
I'll
include the
say that.
TMC's fundraiser below. While the crew leaves to
use it
scout
on
the
my
planet,
phone.
the captain sends out a drone. As it flies across the terrain, he notices an abandoned spaceship on the horizon that looks identical to his own. The rich man
Oh,
tells them
shoot.
that this was once a research ship, but the crew didn't survive. He
Dang.
brags that if this mission is successful, Japan will have access to a secret technology that will make them a leading superpower. He won't say what it is,
Alright.
and the captain knows he's hiding something. The crew splits
Make
into
Japan
pairs
the top
and
of
head
the
outside
global
to inspect the
economy?
landscape. But when they look around in the moss, they're surprised that they can't find cockroaches anywhere. Thinking the pesticides might not have worked, they continue walking further out, but when
Where
they
the
turn the
roaches
corner,
at?
they see something horrifying. In front of them are 3 creatures, and they're absolutely shredded. The man
at
can't
how
believe what
big
he
they
sees
are.
and pulls his partner into hiding before they're spotted. But they're not the only ones who have found something. Nearby, one of the creatures turns around to find Shokichi and his girlfriend staring in confusion. They have no idea what this thing could be, but that's when the alien starts walking towards them. Trying to
Don't
appear
just stand
friendly,
there.
the man waves hello, but that
Don't-
was his biggest mistake.
don't just
the
stand
creature
there.
darts behind him and snaps
Whoa.
the woman's neck in a single move. It was too fast for anyone to react, and the girl
What? Nani? Nandato?
and snaps the woman's neck in a single
She
move.
dead,
It
bro.
was too fast
Rip.
for anyone to react, and the
F in
girl
the
drops to the
chat.
ground dead. The man runs over to his girlfriend and turns to ask why it killed her, but the creature ignores him, running away faster than anything he's ever seen in his life. Moments later, these crewmates approach him looking terrified, saying that others are being attacked by the aliens and it's too dangerous to stay out here.
Why didn't he
Agreeing,
save the
they
guy?
all go back to the ship where Shokichi leaves his friend's body in the morgue. That's 2 crewmates down and 13 more to
R.I.P.
go.
y'all. F in
Aboard
the
the ship, he
chat.
confronts the captain, demanding to know what killed his girlfriend. But this crewmate tells them those creatures they saw are the cockroaches.
Those
The
are the
cosmic
roaches.
radiation sped up their evolution, and they became stronger and faster than any creature on Earth. It's upsetting
Insane.
news. But that's when a hologram of the rich man appears in the
Oh,
room,
he's back.
and he's finally going to tell them the horrifying truth
Nice landing.
about their mission. Okay, this is not what we signed up for. The whole time, this guy let them
You're
think
telling
they
me.
were just here to spray some pesticide and go home.
And then
But the
leave.
truth is so
Nah.
much worse.
Nah.
Now, these criminals could have seen this disaster coming much earlier if they understood what it actually takes to terraform a planet. Because there were already telltale signs that it was being done the wrong way. The conditions on Mars as we know it are brutal. It has an average temperature of minus 50 degrees Celsius, there's virtually no atmosphere, and since the planet doesn't even have a magnetic field, the cosmic radiation from the sun would be extremely harmful to any life. To terraform
Super
this
enormous.
place, the first thing you need to do is start creating greenhouse gases, which raises the surface temperature and builds atmospheric pressure. Now,
Wow.
a famous James Bond villain once suggested we should nuke the poles of the planet to melt its frozen ice caps. This would release CO2 to help kickstart an atmosphere, but the sad
Carbon
truth is that
dioxide.
it wouldn't work. There isn't enough carbon dioxide on Mars to make enough atmospheric pressure, and it means we have to bring our
Jeez.
own resources to get the job done. One of the best strategies we have is to use algae, because it can survive in an environment without oxygen, which
That's
is why
why
there's
there's
moss
moss.
all over the planet. This is called cyanobacteria, which is an organism that uses
Somebody in the comment section said I'd be a scientist after this one. They was right.
Moss all over the planet. This is called
Even my peanut brain
cyanobacteria, which
can
is an
learn
organism that uses photosynthesis to feed itself and converts the carbon dioxide into oxygen. It's the same type of bacteria that started the formations of life on planet Earth, so this isn't a terrible idea. Now,
I
at
love
this
that
point,
movie,
you
by the
might
way,
be
with
wondering
Matt
where
Damon.
the cockroaches come in, because on its surface, it seems completely ridiculous. But there's actual science behind this idea too. The first animal to be sent into space was not a human, a chimpanzee, or even a dog. It was a fruit
cock.
fly. In 1947,
Oh, wait, what?
science behind this idea
My
too.
bad.
The first animal to be sent into space was not a human, a chimpanzee, or even a dog. It was a fruit fly. In 1947, scientists wondered if exposure to cosmic radiation would harm future astronauts. So the
Jeez.
US military launched a bunch of rockets into space and loaded them with fruit flies. Now, the reason they chose a fruit fly is going to shock you, because genetically, they have way more in common with humans than you would believe. Around
Really?
75% of all the disease-causing genes in humans have matching pairs in the DNA of a fruit fly,
Fruit
which is
flies.
insane. This one crazy fact allowed scientists to get a better idea if space travel had any negative effects. And when
the
they
human.
returned to Earth, the scientists found that the flies were completely unharmed. This is why these
That's why
cockroaches
there
are
was-
here. But this time, the cosmic rays mutated their genes and sped up their evolution by millions of years. The
Jeez,
biggest
now
problem
I
with this
get it.
strategy is that cockroaches have much less in common with us than flies,
Right,
and they
fruit
don't even help
flies do.
terraform the environment. If it was up to me, I would have considered setting termites instead because they produce more
Termites.
methane than anything else on Earth. A single termite produces half a microgram of methane per day, but when this is multiplied by the trillions, their global methane emissions would produce a huge amount of greenhouse gases to help warm the planet and contribute to creating an atmosphere. Their food sources might be a problem, but if they could be genetically modified to feed off of the cellulose of the moss and algae, then their existence on the planet would actually help sustain life-creating conditions instead of just turning into giant cavemen. That's when the rich man gives them terrifying news, revealing that all the crew members had insect DNA injected into their bodies,
this
and
is where
this
they
would
get
be
the
their only
powers.
weapon to kill the cockroaches.
This is where they
They're
get the
all
powers.
completely shocked, but before they can ask any questions, the hologram disappears. The captain pulls out a vial from his belt, explaining that they can transform into a human-bug hybrid using these serums, and each of them have a unique superpower from
Got
the
no
bugs
other
they've been
choice.
spliced with. But there's a catch. The transformation only lasts a few minutes, and if they inject themselves with too much at once, they will die. This woman complains that the mission is too dangerous and they should turn back. But that's when the ship's radar detects something outside. A massive cockroach slowly approaches through the dust, and the crew is nervous.
Oh,
The
no.
terrorist here walks up and mocks the others for being scared, explaining that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If they exterminate the roaches, they'll all get a huge reward, and it's better than
They'll
going
be
back
free.
to prison. He walks away to the exit hatch to face the insect, but the
he
man
ready
is
to
about to
fight.
find out that he is no match for these cockroaches. Outside the ship, he stands his ground as the cockroach approaches, and the criminal quickly
Inject
injects
himself.
himself with the serum.
Nice.
Suddenly,
Smart.
his body begins to transform as his skin turns into a shield of chitin, with antennas growing out of his head. This man's DNA has been mixed with the bombardier beetle, which can excrete highly potent toxins as a defense mechanism, but on a human scale, it gives him the ability to shoot these chemicals out like a flamethrower. Testing his
What?
powers, he holds his hands up to the insect and a
Fire,
plume comes
literally.
out, setting the cockroach on fire.
Fire! Literally!
It looks like it's working, but to his surprise, the alien recovers. Nervous, the man pulls out his knife to defend himself, but before he can strike,
that
the insect shoves his
regeneration is
hand straight through
great.
his body, killing him. That's 3 crewmates down, and
Talk about Extreme Donut Day. Any JoJo fans watching, bro? That ain't Donut Day, bro. That is Krispy Kreme Day. Squish.
the insect shoves his hand straight through his body, killing him. That's
Gone.
3 crewmates down, and 12 more to go.
He ain't even put up a fight.
Okay, these crewmates are screwed. This mutant cockroach appears to have no weaknesses at all, and
regenerated so
that's
easily.
terrifying no matter how stupid he looks. This guy had the ability of a bombardier beetle, which has one of the most potent chemicals in the insect kingdom, creating a reaction that's so violent, it literally makes boiling corrosive liquid shoot out of its asshole. That's got to be the best party trick I've ever seen. But if we can be killed this easily, even with our superpowers, then we need to escape as fast as possible and take our chances back on Earth. Now,
Gotta
this
leave
next point
instantly.
is going to freak you out, because scientists have recently discovered that cockroaches are starting to evolve faster than ever before. But some cockroaches are already developing cross-resistance to a wide range of pesticides. This means that from birth, their offspring become immune to toxins that they'd never even seen
They're
before.
evolving
If they're
past-
adapting this fast, then in 15 years, we won't be able to use poisons to kill them at all. They can also hold their
Man.
breath for 30 minutes and survive
What?
temperatures of minus 100 degrees Celsius. So there's nowhere they can't thrive as a species.
Somebody gotta ask God why he made them so overpowered, bro. Why did you make roaches so strong? What?
Of minus 100 degrees Celsius. So there's nowhere they can't thrive as a species. These things are absolute freaks of nature, which is why we need to think further
Insane.
outside the box and use their own evolution against them.
okay,
Since
how we
they
gonna do
already
that?
have the technology to mix insect DNA with their own, then they should be able to destroy DNA as well. It just so happens that nature has a pretty good method to do this, and it's called proteopathy, which are diseases
Proteopathy,
that
okay.
cause proteins to fold incorrectly. This is the same thing that caused the mad cow disease panic in the 1990s, and
I
it's the
remember
perfect
mad
weapon
cow
to use against
disease.
these cockroaches. The disease works
Really?
when a certain gene makes corrupted prion proteins, and they become infectious virus-like organisms that make lethal copies of themselves. These proteins then spread throughout the brain, causing neurodegeneration and death. The incredible thing is that this disease can be spread through transgenesis, which means different species can be affected by the same disease
The same
and can even be
disease.
inherited from your parents. This is exactly the kind of evolutionary disaster we need if we want to exterminate the
So it
species.
could pass down
we
from
can't fight
generation
them
to
with brute
generation.
force, but we can interrupt their reproductive cycles and corrupt their genes so that they
Just
spread
use a
hereditary
virus against
diseases
them.
throughout their population. Eventually, they will all
Smart.
carry neurodegenerative genes
Brain
encoded
expanding.
into their DNA, and in a few generations, they might breed themselves into extinction. Now, researchers are already successfully using gene splicing technology like CRISPR to not only remove genes, but to add new sequences
I
into
know about
our
CRISPR.
DNA. With
I actually know
500
about
years of
CRISPR,
this
yeah.
technological development, it's not hard to imagine that we would have the ability to hack these cockroaches' genome, corrupt their PRNP gene, and give them all a
pass it down
savage
from
case of
generation to
artificially
generation.
engineered Huntington's disease. If anyone had thought to
What?
take a step back and try to solve this cockroach problem in the lab instead of with their fists, they might have wiped them out a long time
Instantly.
ago. The others are horrified
Well, not
by the crewmate.
Not instantly, but you know, as the virus spreads, it passed down from generation to generation until all of them become extinct.
Their fists, they might have wiped them out a long time ago. The others are horrified by the crewmate's death, but that's when they notice another
Oh,
cockroach
it's
on
on
the
the
ship's window,
spaceship.
and it starts smashing its face into the glass.
No!
This woman assures the crew that the windows are shatterproof, but suddenly she hears a crack. The creature breaks through the glass and falls into their spaceship, killing 2 of them in the process. That's now 5
God.
down, with 10 more to go.
Instantly.
Shokichi pulls out his serum, ready to take on the insect, but the captain stops him and insists on handling this himself. Injecting the
Captain.
serum into his neck, the captain begins to transform into an insect, and it's much stronger than the last. His DNA was mixed with the bullet ant, which gives him the strength to lift
Bullet
over
ant.
100 times his own weight. Now transformed, the captain lifts the cockroach up into the air and slams it down into the floor, killing it in a single blow.
Nice!
Suddenly, the ship's radar goes
Let's
off,
go.
alerting everyone that outside, thousands of cockroaches have surrounded the entire ship, and they won't
no.
leave without a fight. The crew
Thousands
tries to
of-
launch the shuttle, but the takeoff system is glitching out, and there's no way to fix it. the
Oh,
ship
man.
is stuck on Mars, but the captain has a plan.
This
He
is
tells them
terrible.
he'll make a distraction so they can drive to the old spaceship that landed 10 years ago and bring back spare parts to fix the glitch.
So they can
He
get-
explains
okay,
that
they
when
can
the
get out of
insects
there.
are killed, they produce a pheromone which attracts other roaches. This will draw them inside and clear the road to the other ship. It's the only way they
Nice
can make their
plan.
escape, and the crew agrees to the plan. As the insects start climbing up
All
the
of them
ship's
are
hull
coming.
trying to break in, the crew heads to the vehicle bay where they prepare to leave. This woman tells the serial killer it's his turn to use his powers, and the man injects himself with his serum before turning into the most disgusting insect of them all. He was given the DNA of the McLeod bug, giving him the ability to shoot out gas that acts like a jet engine, and this will be key to their escape. As the doors start to
Whoa.
open, they're horrified to see a whole army of cockroaches waiting for them on the other side. Using his power, the man spits fire out of his mouth, sending the rover flying through hundreds of mutated roaches. The plan seems to be
nice.
working, but these
We got-
creatures are
we got
about to
something
make
going.
things so much worse. Okay, we're stuck on Mars with an army of cockroaches, and since we have to fix the ship before escaping, our only chance to survive is by fighting our way out. Now, this is going to be a serious f***ing problem, because every time you kill a cockroach, it produces pheromones that attract more of them, and we'll be so outnumbered that they'll kill us. This means we can't brute force the situation and need to fight them with a clever strategy if we want a chance at getting back to Earth. Now, the only thing we really have to work with is our bug DNA, but when it comes to the insect kingdom, there are actually a few interesting opportunities here worth exploring. First of all, let's just address how absurd the situation is. These people are literally modifying their genetic code just so they can fight cockroaches on Mars. It's the most ridiculous thing you could ever think of. And that's why if we have to play this game, I would want to pick my own insect.
You pick your own
If they already
bug.
have this kind of technology at their disposal, they should be able to use a futuristic combination of 3D bioprinting and CRISPR technology to send DNA data of another insect to the spaceship. Now, if killing these bugs attracts more of them, we need to figure out a non-lethal way to fight them off. For this reason, I would build a team composed of a mite, an assassin bug, a dragonfly, a Darwin bark spider, and a giant silkworm moth.
That's
because
a crazy
these
lineup.
creatures have some of the most overpowered abilities in the animal kingdom. A spider is technically not an insect, but it's reasonable to think that if they can already splice your DNA like this, then they can do it with a spider too. With that said, here's how my team would break down. First, these cockroaches are way too fast and we need to match their speed. So I would give this criminal the DNA of a mite. This insect is only 0.7 millimeters long, but pound for pound, it's the fastest land animal in the world. It can travel 322 lengths of its own body in a single second, which would be the equivalent of a human running at 2,100 kilometers per hour. That is 2 times the speed of sound, and at this scale, it would be impossible for these cockroaches to hear you coming. Next, we need to anticipate our enemy's behavior, so I would give this criminal the DNA of a dragonfly. It doesn't look special on the outside, but this bug is actually the most successful hunter of any species on Earth. They have a 95% success rate of catching their prey, and the reason for this is incredible. Dragonflies have the unique ability of being able to perfectly calculate where their prey is going to be in the future and track its trajectory to catch it. They also have an amazing 360-degree field of vision. If you apply these abilities to human scale, we would be able to anticipate the movement of every single cockroach before they strike. Now, none of this will help unless we have a way to kill these cockroaches without attracting more of them. So I would give this criminal the DNA of an assassin bug.
I never heard of this one.
This insect injects its prey with a toxin that paralyzes its prey in less than a second. It then fills it with an acid that melts all organic material inside the victim's body before sucking its corpse dry. It's disgusting, but this would get rid of any pheromones from the dead cockroaches, and it would let us kill these creatures without drawing more of them down on us. For the same reason, I would give this criminal the DNA of a giant silkworm moth, because it has venomous hairs covering its body. Anyone stung with their poison experiences severe internal bleeding, and it's even enough to kill a human. When you scale this ability up, this venom would become so powerful, we could literally walk through a crowd of cockroaches and kill them with just a single touch. Lastly, we need a way to limit our enemy's movement, so I would give this criminal the DNA of a Darwin's bark spider. This thing can shoot out strands of silk as far as 25 meters, and its web is the strongest biological material ever studied. Pound for pound, dragline silk has a tensile strength stronger than steel, and when this ability is scaled up, you would have the power to shoot Kevlar-strength web strings several kilometers away. Now, when you put all these abilities together...
They didn't teach me that on the Discovery Channel. My age is showing, y'all. I don't know if y'all watched the Discovery Channel before.
Strength web strings several kilometers away. Now, when you put all these abilities together, it creates a super team death lineup of unbeatable insects.
You can't beat
those
those
insects. The mites can take the dragline silk and run around the roaches at twice the speed of sound, wrapping them up with indestructible material so the others can finish them off. The silkworm can act like a living meat shield at the front of the pack, killing anything that it makes contact with, while the assassin bug covers her tracks by sucking out all the pheromones from the dead cockroaches. Above them, the dragonfly acts as the sniper, protecting the group by calculating the future movements of any threat and taking them out.
It's like a recon in Call of Duty.
As they drive towards the old ship, the crew look out the window to find a massive tsunami of cockroaches coming their way. The serial killer on the roof won't survive if they go through it, but this woman knows her bug can help them survive. She was given the DNA of a black weevil, which is so strong it can withstand the pressure of being stepped on by an elephant. The woman injects herself with a serum and starts to transform, while her friend decides to join her in the fight. Her insect is the rainbow stag beetle, which uses active camouflage to confuse its enemies. Together, the women get onto the vehicle's rooftop and shield the serial killer as they're propelled through the tsunami of cockroaches.
Look at all those
They manage to break through
roaches.
the wave of insects, but the vehicle slams into the dirt and the impact sends the crew flying off the rover. Everyone inside has been knocked unconscious, but suddenly the vehicle goes into autopilot and starts to drive away, leaving the others behind. Injured from the crash, the survivors can barely move as more cockroaches begin to surround them, and
It's
one
over
by
for
one,
y'all.
the humans get brutally exterminated. That's now
R.I.P.
8 crewmates down, with 7 more to go. Later, Shokichi wakes up on the floor of the rover and has no idea what happened. Stepping out of the vehicle, he calls for his missing crewmates, but they soon realize that the others didn't survive. Deciding to split up, the gangsters wait outside while the others enter the ship. And this woman boots up the computer to check the flight logs, but is shocked by what she discovers. A coded
What?
message was recently transmitted back to Earth, and the group has no idea what that could be. Suddenly,
Yeah.
they hear a gunshot nearby and run to investigate the
Gunshot.
noise. Outside, they're horrified to find the gangsters dead on the ground, and they're covered in bullet holes. Turning
No.
around, they notice a group of cockroaches holding
Bullets.
guns and realize that
Guns.
these things are more intelligent than they thought. That's now 10 crewmates down and only 5 more
Imagine
to
getting
go.
shot by a
Meanwhile,
roach.
on the other ship, the captain is fighting off the cockroaches, but there are too many to handle.
Just
That's
too
when
much.
he orders the crew to seal the entrance and vent all the oxygen out of the ship. It's a clever strategy, and now the roaches are trapped inside as they quickly begin to suffocate. The plan
No
is working,
oxygen.
but the remaining crewmates start to suffocate as well and collapse to the floor. Okay, this was a really bad idea. A normal cockroach
If they
can hold
had
their breath for
oxygen
over
tanks,
half an hour,
maybe.
compared to humans who can only last for 2 minutes at most. Removing all oxygen would only be a winning strategy if they had their own supply of oxygen to outlast
Oxygen
them.
tanks.
Now, this actually brings up a pretty interesting question, because we know a lot about regular cockroaches, but it's not clear what traits have improved and what traits have been genetically discontinued. From an evolutionary standpoint, if you consider how an organism would need to adapt to survive on Mars, you'd realize that these cockroaches should not look like this at all. These things are shredded, but the gravity here is 1/3 as much as on Earth. If the Martian environment is already giving you a major assist, then 500 years of evolution should make you weaker, because strength is not a requirement for survival here. At this point, these things are complete aliens to us, and that makes it a lot harder to figure out where their weaknesses are. It's pretty clear that we're not going to kill millions of cockroaches in a fistfight. So if it's me, I'd spend my time looking for the best way to distract them, because our best chance of survival is to get our ship fixed and leave this nightmare planet. Now, it just so happens that there's one
sense.
aspect of their genome we can use against them, and that is their sense of smell and taste. Cockroaches
Really?
have a combined 690 receptors dedicated to just smelling
Ju-
and eating.
find
That's more than
food.
any other insect on the planet,
Literally,
and this
just
is how
find
we're going
food.
to beat them. According to Japan's Aerospace Exploration Agency, the list of certified foods that are sent to Japanese astronauts in the ISS are canned mackerel, soy sauce, ramen noodles, peach-flavored jelly,
Poison the
and the
food?
list goes on. Even after 500 years of evolution, I'm willing to make a bet that cockroaches still love this stuff. Genetically, this is who they are, and they've been eating nothing but moss their entire lives, so with this many taste receptors in their ancestral DNA, a can of mackerel would be like crack to them. If it were me, instead of risking my life fighting these creatures, I would head straight to the kitchen and
Lean.
start pulling
They're
out
about to
all
get
the food
drugged
we
up.
had. Their unmatched sense of smell would take over, and it might be such an overpowering distraction to them that it might buy us time to fix the ship and take off.
Get out-
Back
get
on
out of there.
Earth, the rich man starts to
Oh,
make
there
a
he
call,
is, Michael
but
Jackson.
surprisingly, a cockroach answers on the other end. These creatures can actually
What?
speak, and it reports that things are going according to plan. The rich man has a dark secret, and this special cockroach is not who you think he is. On the other ship, Shokichi finally injects himself with serum and starts to transform into the deadliest insect of them all. He was given the DNA of a giant hornet, which makes him fast enough to dodge bullets, with 2 venomous spikes growing out of his wrists.
Nice.
His crewmates join in and transform into their own bugs. This man is a locust with powerful legs, and the
Oh.
woman has transformed into a praying mantis, with razor-sharp pincers to slice apart the cockroaches. Together,
Nice.
the survivors are strong enough to kill every single insect nearby, but escaping is not going to be this easy. In the other spaceship, someone has refilled the air inside the bridge and walks over to the captain. It's the special cockroach, and it points a gun straight at him. The man asks who the creature is when a claw suddenly bursts out of its head. The captain stares in shock as a pair of hands rip the creature apart, revealing someone inside the corpse, and it's none other than his crewmate, Moriki. She had the DNA of a jewel wasp mixed into her genetic code, giving her the ability to inject a poison that can brainwash cockroaches and turn them into her slaves. She tells them she was attacked, but managed to use her power and take control of the mutated bug, saving her life. With the captain too injured to move, the woman shoots him to death, making that now 10 dead, with only 4 more to go. The woman grabs a cup of water and splashes it over her crewmate here, waking him up. The man was injected with the DNA of a sleeping chironomid, which has the power to enter a death-like state known as cryptobiosis, allowing him to survive the most extreme environmental conditions. Getting up, the man asks her where the egg is, and she tells him it's already been brought aboard the ship. They had a secret mission to capture a cockroach egg and take it back to the rich man. These two are working against the others this whole time and have finally accomplished their goal, but they have no idea that this body inside of the morgue is about to change everything. At the other spaceship, the crewmates hear the shuttle's engine starting and they realize that it's about to leave them behind. The ship was never broken, and that's when this drone flies up to them. The rich man speaks through it, as he reveals that he planted 2 traitors among the crew. One of them sabotaged the ship so it wouldn't take off, and the other was sent to make sure he succeeded in their mission. He explains that the Japanese government came up with a plan to test their latest gene splicing technology and bring back an egg to understand how the cockroaches evolved. This information could give them an army of human-bug hybrids that would turn Japan into a world power forever. These criminals were never meant to return to Earth, but the government's plan is about to blow up in their faces. Inside the shuttle, the other crew members are waiting for liftoff, but they hear a sound coming from the egg and suddenly realize it's starting to happen. The crew members nervously watch as 2 full-sized cockroaches emerge, but strangely, they both have 3 white dots on their foreheads. Transforming into her superbug, Motoki injects the roaches with her mind control poison and instructs them to obey her, but they both give her a defiant look. That's when the woman realizes something is terribly wrong. Suddenly, she jerks back in pain and looks down to find an arm lodged straight through her body, just before the cockroach rips her in half. They've already evolved to be immune to her abilities, and that's now 11 crewmates down, with only 4 more to go. The spaceship blasts off and rises up into the air, but all of a sudden, the newly evolved cockroaches start barking. The crew realizes they're calling out to the other creatures, and below on the ground, hundreds of roaches unfold their wings and begin to fly towards the ship. Together, they start to pull the rocket back towards the planet's surface, but the force makes the ship's engines explode. The sole human on board injects himself with the serum, transforming into an insect before falling into a death-like state, while the giant bugs take control of the ship. Okay, this is the scariest thing that's happened so far. These might be superpowered cockroaches, but up to this point, they've been stuck here on Mars with no way off the planet. Now they have full control over a spaceship, and they already know how to fly it. These things are a lot smarter than they look, and it's only a matter of time before they're headed for Earth, where they could quickly wipe out the entire human race. At this point, I think the smartest thing to do is call it a bust and scratch the whole experiment. Now, unfortunately, we can't just nuke them to end our problems. One of the reasons is because cockroaches have a massive genome compared to other insects, with a collection of special genes called cytochrome P450. This helps them withstand extremely poisonous chemicals, and they're 15 times more resistant to radiation as a result. They can basically detoxify themselves faster than any other creature on Earth, so the best way to kill them is to take out their food source. Now, what most people don't realize is that Mars has a dead core at its center. It's hardened and not soft like Earth's, so it has no magnetic field to protect them from the sun's harmful radiation. Without a core or a magnetic field, the planet doesn't have enough gravitational force to hold onto its own atmosphere, and if oxygen stops being produced on the planet, the entire sky will just float off into space, killing every living thing on Mars. We can build a sun shield, which is basically a space umbrella that blocks the sun's radiation and cools the surface of Mars to unlivable temperatures. This would both kill the cockroach's food source and dissipate the Martian surface at the same time. It would need to be about 1,000 kilometers in diameter, but it's a much easier task than terraforming an entire planet. Now, this strategy would obviously take a lot of time to implement, but let's face it, these criminals are screwed. And I'm not going to prioritize the lives of 4 criminals if there's an existential threat like this to the entire human race. Now, the sad thing is, if all this technology exists where we can edit genomes and manipulate evolution, travel into space, and terraform planets, then we should definitely have the technology to fix our own problems on Earth. The best thing to do now is protect their own home in the universe by killing the entire planet of roaches and move along. The ship falls out of the sky and smashes into the Martian surface. As the cockroaches fly back to the ground, they move in towards the last survivors, surrounding them for one last fight. Shokichi tells his crewmates their only way back to Earth is to use the escape pod, but they'll have to kill this army of bugs first. Determined to survive, they all inject themselves with serum and transform into insects as they begin fighting off the creatures. But these bugs still have one last trick up their sleeve. The newly evolved cockroaches step in to join the fight, and the survivors are quickly pushed back. They realize these things are not only faster, but they fight just like humans do. The woman tries to take one of them by surprise, but it grabs her claw at the last second and uses it to chop off her head. That's now 12 crewmates down and only 3 to go. Even with their powers, the humans are outmatched, but there's still one last hope. Grabbing their vials, they inject themselves with another dose of serum, and their abilities grow even stronger. The two men go on a rampage, slaughtering the cockroach army, and the strategy is working. But when Shokichi runs in to attack the newly evolved roaches, it's still too fast for him to hit. Desperate, his friend injects himself with the rest of his serum, but this one move is going to cost him his life. Refusing to quit, he manages to take down the roach commander in a single blow, but his body starts to shut down and he collapses, unable to continue. There's only one crewmate left standing to fight against the horde, but he's reaching his limit. This cockroach walks up to finish him off when it suddenly stops. Looking up, Shokichi notices a glowing figure flying in the distance, and as it comes closer, he realizes it's his girlfriend. She's come back to life and transformed into a moth. The roaches watch in confusion as she flies over them, spreading a glittering dust. That's when this guy realizes this dust is flammable, and the woman is going to blow herself up to destroy the insects. One of the creatures grabs a gun and points it at her, but that was its biggest mistake. The man suddenly sprouts wings and desperately flies towards his girlfriend, trying to stop her from sacrificing herself. But before he can reach her, the cockroach fires its gun, causing a massive explosion. The other crewmate manages to reach his friend in time and drags him away from the moth, who falls into the flames. Escaping the explosion, their serums finally run out of strength and the two men fall out of the sky. When Shokichi wakes up on the ground, his friend is nowhere in sight, but he hears strange sounds coming from nearby. Going to check it out, he discovers the man has fully transformed into an insect. It's a side effect of overusing the serum, and with his dying words, he tells his friend to make it back to Earth. That's now 13 crewmates down, with only 2 more to go. Walking back onto the spaceship, he climbs up a ladder to the second floor and comes face to face with the last surviving crewmate. Realizing he was the traitor, the man runs in to take him down, but the guy suddenly fires his pistol. Instead of shooting Shokichi, he kills a cockroach that was sneaking up on him, saving his life. The traitor tells the man they have to get to the escape pod if they want to survive, and he agrees to go with them. Together, they blast off and leave the cockroaches behind on Mars, who stare into the sky watching the men return home. Meanwhile, the rich man finds out that footage from the secret mission is being broadcasted worldwide, and he'll have to cut his losses, realizing the only good bug is a dead bug.
But what do you think? How would you beat Terra Formars? Let me know with a comment down below, and please check out Team C's. It's the biggest and most impactful cleaning project of all time, and with every dollar you donate, 1 pound of trash is cleaned up. Until next time, have a damn good day.
You too. Yo! Peanut brain turning into a walnut. It's getting bigger, bro. I said I'd be a scientist by the end of this, y'all. I'm getting closer, man. Every video I watch from Cinema Summary Nerd Explains, I'm getting so much smarter, bro. I'm learning all these new things. This was a banger of a video adventure again. Thank y'all so much for requesting this. Keep the reaction requests coming, y'all. Let me know what y'all thought of the video down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought of my reaction. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thank y'all so much for watching, bruh. And I'll catch you in the next one.